Dead meme.
Hey there, welcome to Jeuno. If it's your first time being here, I would like to do just a simple little informational guide on why you will visit this place. Basically, as you hit level 20, the vast majority of players come here. But there's a lot more to this place than just getting the Chocobo license, and I would just like to briefly go over areas that are very useful and valuable to you as you progress through the game. So we're in Relude Gardens, I believe is how it's set. It's the top layer of Jeuno, and I'm just going to start from the top and make my way down. In the middle here, we have the various embassies. So one of your rank missions will require you to come here. And I believe it's rank 4. I can't remember exactly, but I did it recently, and we had to come down from Sandoria, so I had to go through that gate and speak with someone there to get the audience with the Prince of Jeuno, which is up here. So this is the Royal Palace. You'll have several quest lines that are important for this region, particularly from COP. You'll have to come here for a few cutscenes, as well as some of the nation rank missions. And what's really important about this area, like up the steps, is where the Prince's Chamber is, and that's all well and good. You'll be able to figure that out. But one character in particular that I would like to introduce you to is called Matt. He is very important for increasing the level cap of your character. So basically, there's some level cap quests that you'll do. They start becoming available around level 50. So basically, when you reach level 50, you're going to sit at 1 to TNL forever until you come visit Matt here and you do a quest for the limit break. That probably deserves a video all on its own because that is a bit of a process. But Matt here will allow you to progress beyond level 50 and then beyond level 55 and so on and so on. Here we are in Upper Jeuno, so basically the zones are just like a giant spiral staircase. You just kind of spiral down until you reach the bottom. And the Mog House is always on the side here on every single zone. So we've come from Relude Gardens here, and we're going to go explore some of Upper Jeuno. There are several important NPCs and whatnot that are within this region. Particularly, the big one is the Chocobo licensing quest, which is not too difficult to do. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we get there. But when you're doing your COP missions, one of the cutscenes shortly after going to the tower in Quiffam Island is the little hospital or pharmacy over there. And over here, once you reach the point where you can start doing artifact quests, this little shop in here, there's a character in here who will help you flag the quests for the hands for the artifact gear, this guy. But that's when you get there. I'm not unlocked at that point, so I can't really show it to you. And we'll just move a little ways down the shop, down by the shops here. And here's the Chocobo stop here. It's right across pretty much almost as soon as you enter. And while we're here, when Dancer is revealed to us, at least in retail, the quest giver to flag the Dancer job is pretty much like right in this area. So when Wings comes, just keep that in mind. If you want to unlock Dancer, come visit Upper Jeuno. Alright, so we're going to jump down here and just take a look here. There's important NPCs here. Basically, you're going to chat with everyone down here. Eventually, you'll get a cutscene involving these two. You'll have to give 4 Gospit grass, I believe it's how it's said, to the Chocobo. So you could trade this Chocobo every roughly 1 or 2 minutes. It doesn't take too long. But I believe it's 4 you need, and you'll basically acquire a Chocobo's license. And once that's completed, you can actually go and do the flag for the Beastmaster quest. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to where the quest giver is. Here we are in Lower Jeuno. It looks a lot like Upper Jeuno when you first get here. The Mog House is this little key symbol just up there. And if you continue down, you'll go down to Port Jeuno, but we'll get to Port Jeuno in a little bit. Lower Jeuno has various important quest givers here. There's a couple of job flags that we're going to briefly talk about. But this is the auction house. I'm sure you know how this works by now. But we'll briefly go over as well. There are NPCs up here. Here you go. This is the one. If you want to do the trading card quest, this is the guy you would talk to, like all the Tartaru trading cards. So It's worth doing. The quest reward is definitely worth the work, I feel. But I can understand why some people don't want to sit shouting in chat to get on with the quest. So we're going to quickly drop in on the Bard flag quest. Here we are. So this guy will flag the Bard quest. I recommend looking at the walkthrough because it's very easy to miss some parts. Maybe I'll link it in the description there. But basically, that's where you're going to flag the Bard quest, and you'll have to go get the parchment and visit the stones, and basically deal with the emo Bard. Now, as we come down here, this is a very important store. If you are a magic user, and especially if you're in Jeuno, come here first and check to see if you can get a better price on a spell in the auction house. Like, let's go in. We'll just show it to you. It's definitely worth showing. There are 3 different vendors here, and they all have a little bit of something different, right? So, like, save yourself some money potentially. Maybe you want to do some reselling. People do that. You know, I do it. Like, I buy tea leaves from Windhurst, and I'll sell them in the auction house. Like, not all the time, but here and there. But here's where you flag the Goblin Bag quest. I made a video about this already. But this is the guy you talk to increase your inventory size. And it can be pretty expensive. Be prepared. Now, the best part about Jeuno is this guy, the teleport NPC. Basically, this is similar to the teleport NPCs in the home nations. The real benefit is that they don't have as many level restrictions, and the cost to teleport is significantly lower on average than the home nations. And while we're up here, we'll just quickly show you where you flag the Beastmaster quest. Is it this one? Yeah, the Merchant's House. So you have to be level 30, of course. It's an advanced job. There's some prerequisites. I do recommend looking them up, but this is where you flag that quest. My apologies. Just wanted to clarify the Beastmaster quest. The flag is down in Lower Jeuno, and you complete that quest, but you need to return up here and speak to Brutus. You may need to go through a cutscene or 2, but after that, you unlock Beastmaster. Sorry about that. Let's make sure we're accurate. And here we are. This is Port Jeuno, and as you can see, we're seeing a very similar setup. The Mog House is just on the left, but what's different about this one is if you go downstairs, this is how you zone down to Quiffam Island. And if you, for some reason, have decided to not enable all maps in the launcher, I'll show you where you can get the map for Quiffam Island. It's actually relatively easy. There is a quest giver right up here. You chat with him, and I believe it's a Kaiser sword you want. They're not super expensive. You can get them from the weapons that are wandering around in the tunnel, like when you zone into Quiffam Island. So Quiffam Island is a very good XP zone. Basically, though, if you're going to XP there, I do recommend setting your home point in Jeuno, because getting back here from, say, Sandoria or anywhere is typically bad. And so far, hopefully I've sold you on the idea that maybe you want to put your home point here. But let's get into Port Jeuno here. So as you can see, once you hit rank 5, I'm not there yet, you have the ability to access the airships. You can fly from Jeuno all the way to any nation or any nation capital. So Bastoke, Windhurst, and Sandoria. And there's also another one. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, down here, this is where the auction house is in Port Jeuno. All these NPCs hanging out here. You can chat with them. But what's really important is I think this shop is very, very helpful. Sorry, this is actually the Chocobo renting area. So this is where you would rent a Chocobo, but there is a shop across the way. Let's take a look at it. I think it's particularly useful if you're a bard. There's a lot of uncommon scrolls there that basically you would have to buy from the auction house or maybe travel around to get. Oh, here. This question mark is where this is part of the artifact quest for restoring gloves. Basically, you'll get a coffer key. You'll go to get some tarnished gloves. You'll talk to the guy in Upper Jeuno. You return here after defeating the Darkspark. This is really summarized. Maybe I'll do a video on it when I actually do it so you can see it. But the duty-free shop here, this is where you can buy some ammunition as well as some medicine. But this NPC is the more important one, I feel, because this one will sell you some magic spells, particularly Bard. So I'm a little bit out of date for spells. I probably should fix that. But hopefully that's a useful guide to Jeuno. It's a half-decent place to set your home point. And, like, I know what you're thinking, but what about returning to the home nation to maybe get Signet? Well, I'm going to quickly show you how useful Jeuno can actually be. Not only can you receive Signet from your NPCs that are carrying the titles from the conquest areas, like I don't know what they're all labeled, but if you go to NPCs in Jeuno that are guarding the doors, you can get them to cast Signet on you too. It doesn't matter what faction you are. You could spend your conquest points here. The only thing you can't really do here is go on the supply missions to unlock teleports. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely very valuable, at least in my opinion. And as well, if you need to return, like if I want to go back to Sandoria, I've got the Ron Fair unlocked as a teleport, and Sandoria owns it almost all the time. The cost is just 100 gil to go home. So if I chose to go visit the various guild vendors, like the lumber vendor that's available there, and the smithing and the leatherworking vendors, I still have relatively easy access to them. The other upside that I would like to point out is Jeuno is attached to a lot of very good XP areas. So I've XP'd in Argano, I believe is how you say it. I've done like a Garlish Citadel, the Champlain, the Marafatad Mountains. There's like Rolandberry Fields and the Crawler's Nest. Like this is a great area for around 20 to 40. There's so much here for you for questing. It's very easy to get around from here. You don't have to travel across the country or ride a boat from Salbina or whatever, because it takes so long. Like, I do highly recommend Jeuno. But before we go, let's talk about flagging the Kazam quest. So there's a region called Kazam, or I believe it's how you say it. If you come down here, you can actually use this airship for rank 5. There is a catch, but it is possible. So let's go, and I'll show you who flags it. If you chat with the people here, they'll eventually give you a quest called the Adventurer's Deal to get an airship past to Kazam. Or I think it's like 100k. It's an absorbent amount of money, but it will allow you to fly there, and you can access those really valuable questing zones. It's somewhere around 27 up. There's a lot of good questing areas in there, everything from bees to Mandragora and so on, but I'm kind of rambling. So what I would like to say is hopefully this was useful to you, and if you liked the video, or if there's something that I have left out that you think people should know about, you know, throw it in the comments. That'd be awesome. And thanks again for showing up. And one final thing, I'm going to be starting up a Discord. I play a lot of games that are more cooperative in nature and team-orientated, or just building creative games. And it's fun to play with people who are just about the game. They want to have fun with you. You want to find people who are like-minded, who just want to have a good time and not have the struggles of the world, the politics of the world. And let's build a walled garden together and hide out in there and just talk about games and get away from the difficulties of life. But I'm going to prepare that Discord. I'll eventually do an announcement. And thanks for showing up. See you all again real soon.